Hello and welcome to RTV News on this 8th day of June. I'm William Evans, and these are some of the stories coming up tonight. Following Rwanda's announcement on Saturday that it is no longer part of the economic community of Central African states, we bring you details of this decision. A Colombian presidential candidate has been attacked and seriously wounded in the capital, Bogota. Of course, many thanks for always joining us for RTV News in English. My name is William Evans. Now the news in detail. Following Rwanda's announcement on Saturday that it is no longer part of the economic community of Central African states, RBA has spoken to the country's Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, who elaborates more on this decision.
Dear viewers, welcome to this special interview with Rwanda's Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Ambassador Olivier Nduhungirehe. Thank you, sir, for taking the time to speak to Rwanda Television.
Thank you for having me.
Now, I'll get right to the issue at hand, Honorable Minister. I'm aware that Rwanda issued an announcement briefly explaining why this decision was made to pull out of the economic community of Central African states. But in your own words, can you elaborate further on why Rwanda made that decision yesterday?
Thank you very much. Indeed, yesterday evening, Rwanda withdrew from the economic community of Central African State, ECAS, because one of the main topic on the agenda of the summit yesterday that took place in Malabo, Equatorial Guinea, was the handover of the chairmanship from Equatorial Guinea to Rwanda, because the chairmanship is a right based on the rotation of alphabetical order, French alphabetical order. So Angola is succeeded by Burundi, Burundi by Cameroon, and then it was the turn of Rwanda. But for some reason, the DRC may introduce a complaint in the ministerial meeting that Rwanda should not chair the community because of its alleged aggression against the DRC. But this is against the treaty, because the chairmanship is a right. And actually, from all countries, DRC should not be the one to accuse anyone, because even the current crisis, it's the DRC is at the origin of it, with the support to the FDLR genocidal force, with the use of mercenaries against international law, with the use of local militias, with numerous attacks against our territory in different periods in 2019, 2022, and even recently in end of January around the Battle of Goma, where the FRDC shelled on our territory, killing more than 16 people and wounding 160. So this is an issue, and the DRC should not be accusing any country about the crisis in Eastern DRC. But the fact that the Commission and the community of ECAS accepted to be manipulated by a single country imposing its diktat, it's an issue. This is why we decided to pull out, to withdraw from ECAS, because we cannot stay in a community that is no more working for the interest of its member states, that is working against the law, and its own law, actually its own treaty, and is working against its intended purpose of economic integration of the region.
Now, what happened yesterday was obviously, if I was to put it in a proverbial way, the final nail in the coffin. But what is clear is that these issues have persisted in ECAS itself. How long have they been going on, these problems, if I can call them that, within the organization?
First of all, ECAS has been a dysfunctional regional economic community, one of the less effective from all regional economic communities of the African Union. We have issues of integration, of infrastructure, of governance. We have a president of the Commission who doesn't act together with other commissioners. We have issues of audit since 2020. We never had any audit of the use of our money, the money of a member state. There is issues of contributions from from member states. Actually, in 2022-2023, the DRC chaired ECAS while they had many years of arrears in contributions, and actually they used this chairmanship in a way that counters the treaty, because they prevented Rwanda to speak in a summit held in Kinshasa. So there was been an issue, a general issue of effectiveness or governance in ECAS, but now this last issue of Congo dictating that a member state cannot exercise his treaty-given right was now the last nail in the coffin, as you say.
No, the straw that broke the camel's back, that was it for Rwanda, basically.
That was it for Rwanda.
So what is next now, after this decision for the country?
Next, we have withdrawn from this community. We'll write officially tomorrow to the ECAS Secretariat, ECAS Commission, based on ECAS treaty. So we'll remain in other regional economic communities, mainly East African Community and COMESA. And as far as the conflict in Eastern DRC is concerned, we'll continue the current processes we are engaged in with DRC, mainly the EAC SADC process, Washington and Doha talks. As a matter of fact, it's strange and even unacceptable to see that while we are on the path of peace with talks with the DRC at different levels. You remember that there was a meeting between President Tshisekedi and President Kagame in Doha on 18th of March. I met Minister Kaikwamba in Washington 25th of April to sign a declaration of principles, and then we are now engaged in negotiations for a peace agreement that will be signed at the White House. So while we are doing all of that DRC is now going around in regional international organizations accusing Rwanda, calling for sanctions against our country is unacceptable. And it's really strange to see that we are dealing with a country or with government that is not principled, that seems not to want genuine peace.
Well, unfortunately, I've ceased to be surprised by the DRC, but that's another matter. We'll come back to the regional processes for peace and so on, but now there's the question of bilateral relations with the individual countries that remain within ECAS. Do you foresee any problems for Rwanda when it comes to that front?
We will continue our relations with the countries, or those individual countries, members of ECAS. Of course, the summit of yesterday was not, I would say, a good summit for integration, and also for the relations between countries of the region. But we will do our best to continue our relations. But of course, what happened in Malabo was not only against the treaty, but also against good relations in our region.
Well, now back to the issue of the efforts by Qatar and the U.S. How is that progressing in general?
For the Washington talks, I was saying that we signed the Declaration of Principles on 25th of April. Following that, we are engaged with Congo and also the DRC in negotiations for a larger peace agreement that will be signed at the White House. So we are now in the process of negotiating an agreement. There is also the African process of EAC SADC. The mediator who was mandated by the African Union, President Fonya Simbe of Togo, is now consulting in the region, and we hope that also this process will also advance and progress. And there are the Doha talks, mainly between the FCM23 and the government, which were somehow stalled. But we hope that also that common sense will come back, and then the parties will continue the negotiations and reach an agreement.
Clearly, Rwanda is not deterred by the behavior of the DRC in respect to its efforts to bring about peace in the region. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we conclude this interview, Minister?
What I would say that it's sad and unfortunate to see a community of 11 member states being manipulated by a single country, DRC, imposing its diktat, while it's a country that has been itself actually violating the treaty because it was supporting a genocidal force and violating our territory at several occasions. So it's really sad to see the downfall of such a community which has already many problems of governance and integration, now adding to that issue of being manipulated by a single country. So it's really sad, and we hope that member state of ECAS will eventually understand that they are not on a good path.
Let's hope for. Ambassador Olivier Nduhungirehe, Rwanda's Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, thank you for taking the time to speak to Rwanda Television.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Now, delegates have gathered in Kigali for the African Conference on Agricultural Technologies. RBA brings you the country's Minister of Agriculture and Animal Resources to shed more light on the event and how it is helping Rwanda's agricultural ambitions.
Effective Monday is hosting the African Conference on Agricultural Technologies. And with us in the studio is the minister, that is Rwanda's Minister of Agriculture and Animal Resources, Dr. Mark Cyubahiro Bagabe. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to Rwanda Television.
Well, thank you for having me.
Now, as we begin, let me first ask you, Minister, Rwanda is often cited as a model of agricultural transformation in Africa. What has driven this success over the past few years, culminating in hosting an event like this?
Right. So, I would say in brief, Rwanda's agricultural transformation success, I would say it's hinged on evidence-based policies and political will. Those have been actually the key pillars of our agricultural transformation. And I would say also based on that, evidence-based policies, we have our PST5. That's actually a blueprint document that has been driving agricultural revolution. So it focuses on increased productivity and value addition and technology, youth, and innovation, but also which is inclusive, it includes women as well. So that is basically where this success comes about. And I would say that this interview is actually leading us to a conference, as we said, which is taking place from the 4th, from the 9th, I think.
Effective Monday,
yes. In fact, effective Monday, up to 9th, up to Thursday the 12th. And it will be bringing policymakers, researchers, politicians, innovators, private sector, farmers, but more particularly a lot of youth innovators to exchange ideas and to be a platform for the youth in Rwanda and across the continent to pitch what they have been doing and to be an opportunity to bring in investors, showing them opportunities that are available in Rwanda, particularly in agriculture, research and technology, and the new technologies which they can bring in, and some new technologies which they can scale up as well, that I would say are there on the shelf, but they can be scaled up.
Well, yeah, you actually stepped right into the next question, which has to do with the investment opportunities that Rwanda has to offer the participants of this ACAT 2025. Maybe you'd like to elaborate more on that?
Yes. There are a number of investment opportunities. I won't be able to mention all of them in this very short time, but I can just give a highlight of a few. First of all, agriculture is driven by a number of factors. One of them is agriculture inputs, and these include seeds. Today in Rwanda, most of our seeds are not certified seed. seeds. So we need people who can invest in producing seeds, going to the whole value chain up to certified seed for different value chains. Now we can talk of corn, maize, we can talk of potatoes, Irish potatoes, a number of crops where we need certified seed. That, and then of course we have fertilizers. It's one of the drivers of productivity. We need investors in fertilizers which are environment friendly, but also which are increasing our productivity as well. So a range, not being stuck with just one, because our ecology allows us to grow so many crops, and therefore we need different types of fertilizers. So one of the key inputs of agriculture, which is very key to investment, is actually irrigation. Irrigation with the climate change challenges, we need to be able to provide irrigation facilities. So it's open for investors, particularly where our target is to be able to reach 600,000 hectares in 2050. In 2029 from today, in 5 years, we want to move from 72,000 hectares irrigated to 132,000. And that requires investment. That's an average of 10,000 hectares per year. And so we need investors in that area. Also post-harvest as well. It opens opportunities. People want to invest in post-harvest storage facilities and so on, digital technologies. You've seen, we know, for example, digital technology in health, where I've seen transportation of blood, but also we use it in agriculture for disease surveillance, for predicting yield, for pest control. So different areas where we can actually invest in digital technology.
Dr. Mark Cyubahiro Bagabe, Rwanda's Minister of Agriculture and Animal Resources, thank you for taking the time to speak to Rwanda Television.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Now, still on the upcoming African Conference on Agriculture Technologies 2025, we also spoke to the Executive Director of the African Agriculture Technology Foundation for a broader look on the efforts to adopt technologically advanced farming methods on the continent.
2025, we are continuing with our coverage of the event, and now we have Dr. Canisius Kanangire, the Executive Director of the African Agricultural Technology Foundation, or AATF. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to Rwanda Television.
Thank you for having me.
Doctor, let me begin by asking you, how would you describe the current state of agriculture across the continent, and why is agricultural technology now seen as a crucial solution?
First of all, agriculture continues to be very important for African economies in general. Agriculture employs more than 60% of our population, contributes highly to the GDP of our different countries. But also, agriculture continues to be constrained by so many challenges, one of them being climate change related issues with drought spells, which are very important and which can destroy the crops. The other one is pests and diseases, which can also destroy the crop. And with those, we need to have discussions, but also actions in agriculture, so that we can improve what agriculture can contribute to our countries and our continent. So it is very important, the state.
What specific technologies are having the greatest impact on smallholder farmers on the ground today? The major technologies are seed-related technologies. When you have varieties which can, first of all, as I said, when I was putting forward the challenges, seeds which can resist the drought, those are very important. Again, seed which can have insect resistance or pest resistance. And here in Rwanda, for example, we have had cases of the fall army worm,
called Nkongwa in Kinyarwanda, which can devastate the maize crops. I think those are key challenges that we can respond to with improved varieties which have the specificities of bringing resistance to those. But also Africa is still the continent where we have the lowest productivity the yield per hectare. And we need to change that. And it can be possible if we adopt the right technologies which are productivity enhancing. If we do all that and we have varieties of seeds which can respond to that, arriving to the hands of the farmers, I think we will have contributed a lot. But there are also other technologies. Currently, in our toolkit, we also have biotechnology, like genome-edited crops, like genetic modified crops. All those are very quick ways of breeding and coming with the resistance and other characteristics that we need in the seed, and which can respond very quickly to the challenges facing the smallholder farmers today. So we have a number of them already in the hand of the farmers, and they have quite well transformed their lives.
Okay, now beyond the technologies themselves, what are some of the barriers to adoption that are still persisting on the continent?
One of the major barriers is we need to improve our level of investment in pushing the technologies, the innovations. Those we have already piloted and shown that they can address the challenges. We need to scale them up. We need to bring them to many farmers so that they can produce impact. And on that we have still a problem. The other problem is to create policies, to put in place regulatory frameworks and institutions which can support the transfer of those products to the farmers. And then we build the partnership, because collaboration is very important. Agriculture has been left as a standalone sector here, but today we understand that you cannot go without having the IT-related sector, the bank sector, the insurance sector. We need to have a solid collaboration to bring smoothness in the implementation of those good policies which will be put forward by our policymakers.
Now, Dr. Canisius Kananjire, Executive Director of the African Agricultural Technology Foundation, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to Rwanda Television.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now, away from the agricultural technologies, Ethiopian Airlines, one of the leading airlines in Africa, celebrated 50 years of providing air travel services to Rwanda. The celebration was attended by government officials, private sector representatives, and stakeholders from the aviation industry. It featured traditional Rwandan dances, a look back at the airline's history, acknowledgements, and the vision for the future. The airline's managing director for international services has stated that they will continue to improve services and increase flights between Rwanda and the rest of the world.
Rwanda, we have three times a day operation to from Addis Ababa to Rwanda, and based on the market analysis that we are making in the future, we might increase our frequency. That makes people or passengers can reach one part of Africa within few hours. 1 second, a person can travel from Kigali to, for example, to West Africa, Accra. So if we have more frequency, they can do their job within 1 day. So they can come back again with the same day to their origin stations, one. Second, as Ethiopian Airlines, we are celebrating this 50th anniversary. We are also expanding our service. So in the coming few days, we will start operation to Hanoi from July 1, to Abu Dhabi, to Porto, and to Hyderabad in India. So within the next, I think, 3 weeks, we will open 4 more destinations in our network.
Those who attended the event confirmed that Ethiopian Airlines plays a significant role in promoting tourism, trade, and facilitating Rwanda's access to the world. And Rwanda's Minister of Infrastructure, Jimmy Gasore, expressed gratitude for Ethiopian Airlines' contribution to the development of tourism in Rwanda and called for stronger regional cooperation. The celebration also featured giving of gifts to the partners and as a token of appreciation for the 50 years of collaboration. The Ministry of Education in Rwanda has announced plans to increase the number of schools that enroll students in a study and work model called RwandaTV following its success in pilot schools. We do have details. This program, known as RwandaTV, was initially piloted in a few schools through a partnership between the government of Rwanda and countries experiencing technical and vocational education. It focuses on technical, vocational, and hands-on training. Those who started with this program say it is very essential. I've benefited greatly from this program, especially on the practical aspects. I am confident that after school, I'll be able to start my own business. This helps you get more knowledge and boldness to be able to go about your work as required. On the other hand, the cost of learning and teaching under this model is relatively high. That is why many schools have not yet implemented it, as explained by Zabayo Nassis, the head of Forever TVET School, located in Gasabo district. It is quite expensive because students use equipment in school, and once they join the company, there are other equipments they have to use. The company is also supposed to have someone to train these students because there are lessons they take from school, but also those from the company. Most of the companies do not have such personnel. The Director General of RwandaTV Board, Engineer Mukunzi Paul, says the government will continue to expand the number of schools implementing this model.
The Dual training program is a new training approach where the students register in a school and in a company at the same time. So and the students spend half of their time in schools where they learn mostly the theoretical components, and the practical component is now taught in a company which is working in hand with the schools. So this approach has started in Germany and Switzerland. So now we are trying to adopt it here in Rwanda to see how we can improve also the practical component of the learning of our students. So we have piloted it some few years back in 6 schools, and it has been successful, whereby graduates from these schools, up to 85% of them found jobs because they had really very strong hands-on skills. So now we are rolling out in other schools across the entire country. We are now registering companies willing and ready to support us in this initiative, and we believe that the entirety of the system will change in such a way that we go for dual training programs in all our schools, and this will require working together with companies.
The RwandaTV model operates through a partnership between the government and the private sector. The Minister of State in the Ministry of Education, Irere Korodet, is urging industries, hotels, and other stakeholders involved to increase their support for the program due to mutual benefits it brings to both the nation and the private entities. This has been around for not so long, so many people have not yet embraced it. The students love it, and it is yielding good results. RwandaTV is an educational approach where a student is simultaneously enrolled in a school and a company. They alternate between classroom learning and paid on-job training, with both institutions supporting their development. Now, government and private sector institutions in Rwanda are seeking solutions for more than 1 million young people, representing 28.4% of the youth population who are neither in school, employed, nor undergoing any form of training. The majority are school dropouts due to various socio-economic reasons. We do have details. Fred Ituze completed his high school in 2022, but after graduating, he spent 6 months unsure of his next steps. Eventually, he decided to pursue professional barrister training. Grace Irasoza, on the other hand, dropped out in Senior 3 and is now studying mechanics. Both Fred and Grace said that acquiring vocational skills has helped them solve some of their life's challenges. This is an international profession world over, and one can do coffee as a business anywhere in the world. I have already mastered color spraying and I deeply like it. I got bold and this is a critical step. After this internship training, I'll just continue with working. Those involved in vocational training, like Jean Dodier Nhirenganya, who heads Apred Ndera School, and Papet Mukamusinga, founder of a barista training center, affirm that students who follow the training properly can acquire job-ready skills in just 6 months. Zulfat Mukarwega, founder of the University of Tourism, Technology and Business, UTB, and the Zulfa Foundation, supports youth from vulnerable backgrounds who did not get the chance to complete formal education. Some of the young people she supports have now found employment even in international markets. Those who started going to Qatar have made 4 years there now, and no one has returned as yet. Their contracts were 2 years, but their employers kept renewing them because they liked what they offered. Another good thing is that they are asking us for more students because the first batch demonstrated good skills and behavior. Data from the Ministry of Youth and Arts shows that 1,040,248 young people, which is 28.4% of the youth population, are not in school, unemployed, and not enrolled in any training. Minister Dr. Utumatwishi Majane Poabdal believes that the national goal for 2035 and 2050 will only be achieved if youths are empowered with practical skills. We are happy that the culture of starting businesses at an early age, both here and abroad, and using technology in business has been adopted by many youth. Currently, 14.9% of the general Rwandan population is unemployed. Among youth, the unemployment rate stands at 18.5%, with young women representing a larger share at 24%. Youths in Rwanda are defined as individuals aged 16 to 30, a group that accounts for 27.1% of the population, over 3.6 million people.
Moments. Laying hooks. Getting away. Making moves. Breakfast with family. Inyanje is always there. Whatever the occasion, whatever the moment, always ask for Inyanje.
Nyiri muto arababwiraga data bati ntabwo agira umukamo mwinshi utunze inkwi, ariko nigeze acika intege. Mama akinjira mu bucuruzi harabamubwiraga bati ntabwo watera imbere udakorera mu iduka rigezweho, ariko ntibyamusubije inyuma, yakoranaga umwete. Njya muri kaminuza hari abanshidikanyagaho bavuga ko ntashobora kaminuza naturuka mu muryango wifashije, ariko byarangiye nanditse amateka mashya. Igihe cyo gutera ishema umuryango wanjye kigeze, bamwe bakomeje kumbwira bati ntabwo watera umuryango wawe ibyishimo n'ishema, ariko narabishoboye. Hari abakekaga ko nasigira umurage ukomeye abankomokaho, ariko ubu mfite uruganda rutunganya amata. Banki ya Kigali yabaye umufatanyabikorwa wanjye mu rugendo rwose, inzozi zanjye zibimamo. bigereho.
Welcome back from that very short break. Now RTV News continues in Colombia, where a Colombian presidential candidate has been attacked and seriously wounded in the capital, Bogota. Conservative Miguel Uribe was shot in the head and leg during a campaign rally. DW News has the details.
A brutal attack on a Colombian presidential hopeful. Miguel Uribe was taken to the hospital in a critical condition after being shot 3 times, reportedly twice in the head during a campaign event in Bogota.
It is great news what the clinic has told us, that he overcame the first intervention. These are critical moments and hours for him to survive. We must ask God to preserve Miguel's life and help him overcome this situation.
Following the initial investigations, police reported that a minor was arrested at the crime scene with a firearm. The total number of suspected attackers is unclear.
During the police response, a bodyguard intervened and held one of the attackers, who is a minor. He was injured in the leg and taken to the hospital, where he is receiving medical treatment.
Colombian President Gustavo Petro condemned the attack and vowed to hunt down those responsible, suggesting other criminals may have been involved.
We want, above all, to guarantee the state's absolute transparency in its jurisdiction, to investigate and track down the masterminds behind the attempted murder.
39-year-old Uribe from the center-right party Democratic Center is in the running to join next year's presidential race. After this attack, many Colombians are concerned about a resurgence of the country's past violence.
People are worried. They're going out and see everything that is happening, because it truly is a very sad, very painful event that these things continue to happen in this country. We thought it was something from the past, but it happened right here next to us. People who wanted to listen to his speech, and well, it is very regrettable.
Miguel Uribe comes from a prominent Colombian political family. He's the grandson of former President Julio Cesar Turbe Ayala. He entered the Senate in 2022 after a career in local politics in Bogota.
And now that report brings us to the end of tonight's edition. Of course, I'm William Evans, and from me and the entire team crew, we wish you a good night. Have a blessed week. Bye.